our judges. As I mentioned at the beginning, I am now going to allow folks to unmute themselves. Please, if you are not one of our readers, remain on mute as a courtesy to everyone here. And when I call you as a winner, feel free to unmute yourself and take it away. But I will start with our traditional fiction winner. That is Valentine by Elizabeth Wetmore. Our judge, Devin Murphy, had glowing things to say, but we'll start with a quick bio of Elizabeth. Elizabeth Wetmore is a graduate of the Iowa Writers Workshop and is the grateful recipient of a fellowship from the National Endowment for the Arts and 2 fellowships from the Illinois Arts Council. Her short fiction has appeared in a number of journals, including Iowa Review, Crab Orchard Review, Epoch, and Kenyon Review. Before devoting herself to writing, Elizabeth variously tended bar, waited tables, taught English, drove a cab, edited psychology dissertations, and painted silos and cooling towers at a petrochemical plant. You don't hear that every day. A native of West Texas, she lives with her family in Chicago, and Valentine is her debut book, a very impressive accomplishment. Our judge, Devin Murphy, said, Valentine is a beautiful and Gothic mosaic of Odessa, Texas, one where the writing soars and the story places a fierce legal and moral light on sex and gender equity. This is a special book that started off as compelling as any I've ever read and got better by the page. I introduce and congratulate Elizabeth Wetmore.
Thank you. Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thanks to the Chicago Writers Association for your advocacy and your hard work on behalf of writers. And congratulations to all my fellow writers. It's an honor to be here tonight to share a little bit of Valentine with all of you. I'm just going to read a little bit from a section toward the end. I'll read for about 4 minutes. And in this section, 2 of my main characters, Corinne Shepard and Mary Rose Whitehead, are chasing after in their separate cars a young man who's taken off in a truck with one of the neighborhood little girls in the truck with him. At this point in the novel, this isn't giving anything away, but at this point in the novel, the reader knows that this little girl is fine, but these 2 characters do not know that. So, and thank you again. Corinne Shepard is an unrepentant leadfoot, accustomed to going at least 20 miles over the speed limit, even when she's in no particular hurry. Now she drives down the I-20 like death itself is chasing her. The speedometer's needle trembles between 80 and 85 miles an hour, but Mary Rose's white sedan is moving faster, and the distance between the 2 cars grows until the younger woman is at least a half mile ahead. With the dust storm moving south at 10 miles an hour, the women drive into a cloud of red dirt and bone-colored caliche dust. As they approach Penwell, the wind turns fierce and Corinne's car begins to shake. The motion roils her stomach, reminding her that she has not eaten today, that she is hungry, that she drank too much last night and every night since Potter died, that she is an old woman completely unprepared to stop the world from coming apart at its seams. When they were standing in Corinne's driveway and Mary Rose spat out that word, bastard, her voice was flat as the land Corinne is looking at now, and her heart fell to her feet. She has heard this tone of voice a few times in her life, usually, but not always, from a man or group of men. And although Mary Rose is angry and afraid, and there's a little girl driving around with a man they don't know, it occurs to Corinne why Mary Rose's tone of voice sounds so familiar. It is not the ginned up, high-pitched rage you hear when a crowd burns a book or throws a rock through a window or plants a kerosene-soaked cross in somebody's yard and sets it ablaze. The flatness of Mary Rose's speech, the hollow affect, the cold and steady tone of voice, all are fear and rage transformed into wrath. Hers is the voice of someone whose mind is made up. All that's left to do is wait for the little spark that will justify what is about to happen next. All her life, Corinne has watched this poison move through her students and their parents, through men sitting at the bar or in the bleachers, through churchgoers and neighbors and the town's fathers and mothers. She has watched her own kith and kin pour this poison into their best glassware, spoon it onto the plates and bowls their ancestors hauled in wagons from Georgia and Alabama, all while proclaiming that they worked for everything they ever got and nobody ever gave them nothing. They earned it, living and dying in that refinery, in those fields. And they can't do a goddamn thing about the people who control the purse strings and hand over their paychecks, who can put them out of work with a wink and a nod, but they sure can point a finger at somebody else. If they say it long enough, in enough different ways, they might stop seeing the child of God standing on the other side of those words or buckling under the awful weight of them. Whatever gets you through the night or helps you turn your back so you can keep up the lie. Whatever lets you light the match or throw the rope over a strong branch and still be home in time for dinner and the football game. And while Mary Rose maybe has better reason than most of these fools and sinners to open the door for unbridled wrath, Corinne also knows this: one way or another, it will eventually kill you. But goddamn, you can do some damage on your way out the door. Corinne presses the accelerator and tries to close the gap between her car and Mary Rose's. At 95, her Lincoln shakes and roars like a jet. When Mary Rose slows down to make the sharp turn onto the access road and then guns the engine, what feels like an acre of dust is thrown onto Corinne's windshield. She slams on the brake and slides onto the dirt road with one last look in the rearview mirror. And for the first time in her life, she wishes that a state trooper would put down his newspaper or lunch and pay attention to her for one blessed minute. It is nearly 3 o'clock, less than an hour since Corinne stepped into her garage, and well past the time of day when she mixes up her first whiskey and iced tea and heads for the front porch. When her hands begin to shake, another reminder that she has absolutely no business being out here, she laughs and beats her fist against the steering wheel. She should have driven directly to the police station or stopped by the 7-Eleven and asked if their phone was working. All she wants, all she has wanted since Potter died, is to be left alone, to slowly drink and smoke herself into the sweet hereafter. But here she is, an old lady with busted lungs and a dead husband, driving all over Hell's Half Acre in a Lincoln Continental, going to save the world. It is so ridiculous that Corinne knocks her fist against her forehead and laughs until tears draw streaky lines through the dirt on her face. Well, shit, she thinks. Here I am. Thank you.
Elizabeth, would you mind holding up your award so the folks on can see it?
It's right here.
Congratulations. See, that nothing happens without planning, folks. We had to mail these in advance this year. Nothing happens without planning. Thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to our next winner. That would be in the category of indie fiction. And our winner this year is Still Come Home by Katey Schultz. Let me read her brief bio. Katey Schultz is the author of Flashes of War, which the Daily Beast praised as an ambitious and fearless collection, and Still Come Home, a novel, both published by Loyola University, Maryland. Honors for her work include North Carolina's Sir Walter Raleigh Award for Fiction, the Linda Flowers Literary Award, Doris Betts Fiction Prize, Forward Indies Book of the Year Award, gold and silver medals from the Military Writers Society of America, the Chicago Writers Association Book of the Year Award, yay, 5 Pushcart nominations, a nomination to Best American Short Stories, National Indies Excellence Recognition, and writing fellowships in 8 states. She is the founder of Maximum Impact, a transformative mentoring service for creative writers that has been recognized by both CNBC and the What Works Network. Learn more at kateyschultz.com. Katey, thank you for making space on your very full trophy case for our award. Our judge, Russell Fee, last year's category winner, said of the book, in rich and evocative prose, Katey Schultz masterfully intertwines the fates of 3 disparate, shattered characters. As they struggle to reassemble the pieces of their lives amid the betrayals and brutality of war, Schultz takes us on a luminous and enthralling journey deep into the human condition. The sands and choking dust of Afghanistan become palpable in a story devastatingly beautiful in its impact. Please welcome and congratulate Katey Schultz.
Thank you so much. And it is an honor to read this evening to such a crowd as we are spread across the cloud space, and to read alongside my fellow winners. It's true, so much work has gone into pulling this off and mailing the awards among so many other emails and details, and I feel as though I've been in really good, professional, caring, community-focused hands the entire time. So thank you for that, and thank you for this tremendous honor. We are going to meet one of three main characters in one of his worst moments, which is what I can offer you when I have 4 minutes to read. So this is Nathan Miller. He is in Afghanistan, although you'll notice we quickly flash back to his childhood in the States. He's just gotten some really bad news, and it was the straw that broke the camel's back. Nathan Miller swivels on his chair, unlocks the drawer, and grabs one bottle of Percocet. Still plenty left should he need them, though even now, his first time opening one of the prescriptions, he questions his judgment. 3 tablets chewed and swallowed with a quickness, the bitter sting a welcome distraction. His Ritalin chaser comes with surprising ease, as though Miller is watching someone else's hands do the swift work. The twist and pop, the tapping of pills. He crushes 2 into powder with the bottom of his stapler, and just like he has seen in movies, at off-base parties back home, on YouTube even, arranges it in lines, and then it's gone. A few minutes, an hour, couldn't be. His mind is so soft, humming white noise and elasticity. First snowfall in a hardwood forest. The daring tracks of rabbits through the powder. First kiss, not his wife Tenley, but a girl named Sandra from art class, permed hair and a quick tongue. First finish line, back in his 5K days of blacktop and sprints. First art museum, that traveling Van Gogh exhibit, and he didn't care if it were every other would-be painter's story too. He'd been transfixed. Brushstrokes across canvas, across centuries, across his eyelids, and then gone. Blinked away with a signature and National Guard promotions. First time he didn't stand up for a friend being bullied. First time he broke a girl's heart. First time his daughter Sissy cried, not for nursings or at vaccines, but at goodbye and goodbye and goodbye and goodbye. To be a father, to be fathered, first spanking. That memory forces Miller from his desk to pace the hallway. H4, Indiana. In the aftermath of a summer thunderstorm, Miller walked to the end of his long driveway where dirt met asphalt, 2-lane Indiana State Highway 67 stretching for miles. Here, the ground that only ever seemed to give up corn gave up something else. Earthworms, droves of them writhing across the blacktop as if in pain. Miller had looked left, looked right. The puddled highway heaved with beautiful, slender creatures that his kindergarten teacher had told him did the most amazing, invisible work underground. He looked left, right again, then left one more time. The big rigs would be coming soon the way they did, dozens of them every hour, splashing between one town and the next. The earthworms were helpless in the aftermath of the downpour, turning in circles, already starting to cook as water evaporated from the road. Miller wanted to save them, every single one. For show and tell, he'd be able to brag about it, explaining how he had done his part to keep the family corn's reputation as best in the county, maybe even best in state. He imagined a vast colony of worms beneath his family's fields, moving through the soil, helping the corn breathe. He named them as he walked down the center of the highway, placing them gently out of harm's way. Walk, walk, walking, and then it came. His father's voice like a mad roar, Miller pulled by the arm, shoulder whipping back as his head snapped like a knot at the end of a rope. Only 50 yards or so from his own driveway, but still over the double yellow line. And my God, boy, you could have been killed. His father, breathless, "What were you thinking?" And Miller felt the sentence on the tip of his tongue. "That I could save them, Daddy, that they could help our crops." But there wasn't time. Miller's pants down, bare ass to the sun, a truck blazing past, the whoosh of dust and dirt whipping around them. Was it horns from the semis that rang in his ears, or the hurt of it? His father's palm hot and fast, making a point so that Miller never forgot. No difference, really, between being held back when he could have saved more earthworms and what these new rules of engagement in Afghanistan will bring into reality. Except these were human lives, limbs that didn't regenerate when cut in two, families that didn't regenerate either. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you, Katey. And do you have did your trophy arrive in time? And is it there to show to the group? Thank you so much.
It did indeed. Yes, thank you.
And congratulations again.
Thank you.
We will now move on to our third winner, and this would be in the traditional nonfiction category. Our winner this evening, and again, I have to reiterate, it's pretty exciting that our whole slate is ladies. Big excitement for this feminist. The traditional nonfiction winner is From Miniskirt to Hijab by Jacqueline Saper. Her bio: Jacqueline Saper is a writer and a speaker. Her memoir, From Miniskirt to Hijab, is also a finalist for the 2020 Clara Johnson Award. Fluent in Farsi and English, she volunteers as a translator and interpreter for the National Immigrant Justice Center, and thank you for doing that work. Saper subtitled The Alex and Ali Movie, which won the Frameline 39 Jury Award for Outstanding Documentary. Her opinion columns appear in national and international publications, including the Seattle Times, Foreign Policy News, the Jerusalem Post, Sun Sentinel, and the Forward, among others. She is the recipient of Oakton College's 2018 Distinguished Alumni Award. Jacqueline is a graduate of Northeastern Illinois University, also my alma mater, and earned the designation of CPA from the Board of Examiners of the University of Illinois. Our judges, Angalia Bianca and Linda Beckstrom, co-winners last year in the traditional nonfiction category, had this to say of From Miniskirt to Hijab. Jacqueline Saper has given us a boots on the ground account of the political and cultural upheaval caused by the 1979 Iranian Revolution. As an upper class teenager, she enjoyed the freedom to travel, a private education, the ability to explore her beloved home city of Tehran, and do it all on her own terms. When the Shah fell and the Ayatollah regime began, her carefree life changed, and everything she'd come to love was darkened by restrictions on her movement, her dress, her education, even her thoughts and emotions. At age 17, a time in life when the norm is to explore one's identity, she was instead forced to hide who she was and what she believed in. As her family struggles to navigate the minefield of cultural changes and remain free of persecution, she endures gender segregation and learns to live in fear of the fundamentalist morality imposed on every aspect of her life. Her journalistic prose, uncluttered with superfluous emotional commentary, conveys a tense coming of age, taking us with her on a journey from her once vibrant teen life through the terror of daily bombings during the Iran-Iraq War and the ever-looming threat of daily encounters with her fellow citizens, many acting as the morality police. By the end of this book, the reader will gain insight and understanding about a much-hidden society, formed by one of the starkest shifts in the everyday lives of its citizen, and in many ways remaining largely unknowable to us in the West. An important and courageous book, Saper's story leaves the reader deeply moved and incredulous, but at the same time hopeful and in awe of the author's ability to cope and ultimately thrive. I introduce and congratulate Jacqueline Saper.
Thank you. Thank you to the Chicago Writers Association for this honor. I'm incredibly grateful for this recognition. Every time I look at this beautiful personalized award, I'm reminded that hard work pays off. I would also like to thank the judges, Angalia Bianca and Linda Beckstrom, for choosing my book. I know you had a tough decision to make from among an extraordinary group of finalists. I would also want to thank the people who helped me get to this point, and my editor, Lisa Thaler, who with her keen insights evoked details that I would not have included, and Tom Swanson, the acquisition editor at Potomac Books, who didn't hesitate to believe in my work. When I told Tom about the award, after congratulating me, he commented, "I would say that when I receive manuscripts like yours, it makes my life easier." I want to read a part of an excerpt from the book. This is the book. And the scene is Tehran in Iran. The Islamic Revolution had succeeded and new laws were being implemented very fast. My taxi driver skillfully maneuvered through the maze of honking cars, overloaded minivans, and cyclists. Driving in Tehran was not for the faint of the heart. I looked out of the window onto the busy streets of my cosmopolitan hometown. "Sister, guard your hijab" had become a commonplace slogan in the media and wall graffiti. The implication was that every woman is responsible for her own safety. Another was that hijab is an act of defiance against Western values. Women in general still had the option to cover or not cover their hair. I chose the latter and wore my hair in a ponytail, but I had felt extremely self-conscious when in public. I stepped out of the taxi and continued to walk to Farah Park and entered its gates. The park had been renamed Lale Park after the tulip, a symbol of martyrdom. Deep in thought, I noticed someone trying to speak with me. I stopped and saw a young woman veiled in a black chador and a man at her side. He stayed in the background and she approached. "Excuse me, sister, may I please ask you to open the zipper of your tote bag and show me the contents?" I had many confused thoughts in the next few seconds. What an odd request. I had also heard that the authorities created morality police units to roam in the streets and neighborhoods and enforce women of all religious backgrounds to follow the Islamic dress rules in public. This meant that all women and girls had to cover their heads with a scarf and their bodies with loose clothing, except for the roundness of their faces and their hands up to the wrist. Anyone who opposed the morality police would be reprimanded, detained, or taken away. Who knew where the resistors were taken and how they were treated? Were they fined, jailed? The couple who stopped me seemed different. I was impressed by the woman's politeness. I confidently held my head up and said, "Of course, you can see my bag." I opened the zipper of my tote and handed it to her. She rummaged through its contents, including my house keys, my wallet, and my shopping list. Suddenly, her hand emerged from the depths of my bag, holding a light cream chiffon headscarf. "You bloody whore! You carry a veil in your sack but don't wear it?" I got defensive and said, "At least I have one with me." "You Gharbzadeh," which means someone who is enamored with the West. "You deserve to be treated as a sex object for men as the women in the West are. How dare you carry a headscarf and not wear it? It's women like you who cause social corruption on the streets of our city." I realized I had made a mistake by confronting authority. I noticed the man behind her move his fingers over something tucked under his jacket. "Think, Jacqueline, think." "Sister, what you're telling me is correct. I do apologize. A decent woman refrains from showcasing the curves of her body to strange men. My clothing is modest, but as you can see for yourself, the headscarf is a chiffon fabric. I have learned my lesson that this material is not suitable for covering my hair. It is slippery and keeps rolling back. I will need to sew myself a maqna'eh, which is a head to shoulder upper body covering, in thick cotton so that it will stay put and sufficiently cover all the strands of my hair. I do apologize." Her facial expression softened. My appeasement had worked. She turned around and glanced at the revolutionary soldier, and then back at me. Okay, so use the cotton scarf. Without saying another word, they walked towards the patrol van parked on the side of the street. Another man was sitting in the driver's seat, waiting for his comrades. As I watched them drive away, I knew that my timely response had earned my freedom. I could no longer go out in public as I had in the past.
Thank you, Jacqueline, for that powerful reading. I just want to say to everyone, if you are following the chat, it's a great place to engage and see what others are saying about our winning authors tonight. So thank you for that reading.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
And we will now move on to our fourth winner from our categories this year. And this will be the category of indie nonfiction. And the winner this evening is Mary Lang Sollinger for her book From Inspiration to Activism. I know I myself, when I saw this book came in, couldn't wait to devour it, because I don't know about anyone else on this Zoom event this evening, but I am really missing Barack and Michelle Obama, certainly during the last 4 years. So Mary grew up in a small farming town in Wisconsin. She moved to Madison and opened a store on State Street near the University of Wisconsin. After becoming a prodigious fundraiser and community activist for causes and candidates she believed in, she became a candidate for mayor in Madison. Because of her credentials, Mary received a call for an incredible opportunity. It was to host a fundraiser at her home with Illinois Senator Obama in the fall of 2007. Mary believed in the issues and values he represented. She, along with many other volunteers, worked tirelessly in canvassing across Madison, Milwaukee, Dubuque, Pittsburgh, and Indianapolis. While knocking on door after door, Mary found unique ways to overcome obstacles when trying to connect with people on the other side of those doors. She embodied Obama's campaign mantra of respect, empower, include, REI. Along the way, Mary discovered that only in the United States of America could this happen. Now more than ever, this book is essential to rekindle the hope that lives in all of us. The judge, last year's indie nonfiction category winner, Tammy Leatherer, said of Mary's book, From Inspiration to Activism, Mary Lang Sollinger offers a rare glimpse into the fascinating world of political fundraising in her highly personal, engaging book, From Inspiration to Activism. This is a well-crafted, well-paced book that delivers on its title, as Mary describes how she was inspired to make a difference in the world, and how that inspiration spurred her to work tirelessly to elect Barack Obama in 2008. Mary's idealism is refreshing rather than divisive. She writes of her upbringing in a rural Republican family and how, as Obama's campaign progressed, she would hear her father's own voice in Obama's speeches. Mary's ability to find these connections across political differences undoubtedly led to her fundraising success. Yet the book isn't simply a compilation of Mary's efforts. Instead, in each story she shares, she shows how she and countless campaign volunteers embody Obama's mission to respect, empower, and include. She shows how, by listening and being kind, each of us has the power to affect change. From Inspiration to Activism is an enjoyable blend of memoir, history, and how-to tips. Lesson 1 in Mary's final section is be magnanimous, and her story does this beautifully. I introduce and congratulate Mary Lang Sollinger. Mary, can you unmute yourself? You know, this was bound to happen once tonight. I'm surprised we got to the 37-minute mark and it wasn't me that did it. So excellent.
I'm sorry, I broke the record there, but I want to thank you personally for all the wonderful emails and past responses. It was great working with you, and want to certainly thank the Chicago Writers Association. When I got the email, took me 2 days to adjust to it. It was thrilling and humbling at the same time. Want to congratulate the other winners. It's great to be in an all-women group. I agree with you, Becky. It's quite a milestone. I noticed, I wanted to thank the staff and also the judges and Tammy, but I noticed on the Zoom that my editor, Dana Isaacson is listening, and I wanted to acknowledge him. This is my first book, and I can't tell you how many times he said, you know, Mary, take another deep dive, take another deep dive. So I wanted to thank him very much. With that, I will, this is how the book looks. This picture is of Barack Obama at the House. He was a senator then. A lot of people ask me, how did you get so close to the president? I tell them he wasn't the president, then he was at my house. He was running for president. So the excerpt I'm going to be reading to you tonight is from chapter 7. The title is Indianapolis That Changed My Heart and My Mind Forever. This experience was the day or the afternoon after the first meeting that I had with the National Finance Committee. And it was also the day after a wonderful and very glamorous cocktail party. So we stopped the meeting at noon, and we were asked to go and knock on doors for the president, or I'm sorry, for the senator. And it was amazing. People went in the inner city. I had a car, so I was asked to go to a suburb, and found the suburb. And I'll start with my 4-minute reading. And this is right after knocking on a number of doors. A few heard my accent and wanted to know where I was from. I'm not sure which words triggered their comment. They just knew that I didn't sound like someone from Indiana. When I said I was from Wisconsin, they asked who paid for my gas or for the car, or who was paying me to knock on the doors. They could hardly believe that I was doing this all on my own. No one was paying me for any money or offering me any favors. Many times I ended up by saying, there are a lot of people like me who are volunteering for him throughout the country. I wanted to give them hope. I was glad to be doing this work. It felt fulfilling, like I was making a difference for the people with whom I talked. We had some open and straightforward conversations, which were rewarding. It felt like hope. It was real. One person I met that day will stay with me forever. Before she opened the door, I heard her rubber-soled slippers scraping on the plastic floor runner on the other side of the door. The door barely opened. I saw one yellow eye, just a part of a face of leather and gray hair. I held up the Obama brochure, and she opened up the door 2 more inches. Short and bent over, the woman had deep wrinkles from the sun on her face. Her fingers were thick from years of hard work. Her hands reminded me of the old farmer's hands in my hometown, but these hands were more gnarled. She was shaking her head no. I spoke a little louder. Maybe she didn't hear me the first time. There are many thousands of other people like me who are working for Barack Obama. We want him to be president. We are working very hard for him. Her head stopped shaking no. She looked me straight in the eye. With the saddest eyes I've ever seen, she said clearly, if he gets to Washington, they will tear him apart, limb by limb. I don't want that to happen to him. A shiver came over me. I pictured what she might have seen, maybe as a child, maybe as an adult. I heard stories from Blacks about why they had moved their families north. It was domestic terrorism that we white folks could not even imagine. No way could we understand this part of our country's history. It would be a painful journey for this country to truly come to terms with its bloody history of racism and demonizing of people. This will be a journey well worth taking so that we can move on and keep our country united. I tried to reassure her that many cared about Barack Obama. If he won, he would have a majority of the country behind him and things would be okay. Looking down at the color brochure, she took it from my hand and nodded goodbye. I slowly walked to the next door, trying to take in her words. She couldn't be right, but she was so certain. I didn't know her past. She could be the granddaughter of a slave or a sharecropper. I didn't know what this woman had witnessed or endured. After 4 hours of knocking on doors and talking to people, I experienced a humility that I had never felt before, as well as an entitlement that I had always taken for granted. Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations, Mary. Do you have your award handy?
Sure do.
Excellent. And also, I'm giving you very high marks on Room Rater, the Twitter feed. Like, I'm really liking everything behind there. And I see Obama over there over your shoulder there to the left.
Yes, he is. Yeah, that's where I'm sitting right now is about 5 feet from where he stood in this picture. And this is,
wow.
Yeah. So it was an event that changed my life forever. Like I said, I wasn't a Democrat when this all started.
Thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thanks for this opportunity. It changed everything for me and for the book. Thank you.
That's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
I'm now going to introduce Chicago Writers Association's esteemed president and leader, the man we all know and love, Mr. Randy Richardson, who is going to enter tonight's and this year's Spirit Award winner. And also, Randy, if you could give us a few words on what the Spirit Award embodies, that would be great.
Yeah, thank you, Becky, and thank you for playing me on Zoom. I appreciate that. You do me much better than I do myself. Becky mentioned that this is her fourth and sadly her last year. So I did want to recognize her for all the work that she's done over the last 4 years. Can
you please mute yourself if not speaking? Thank you. Mary, I think it's you again. Thank you so much. Could you mute yourself? Thank you. Okay, Randy, do continue.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Becky for her 4 years as a member of our board of directors, and especially for her work in directing our Book of the Year awards. She's done a tremendous job over these last 4 years. And this year was especially difficult, and she managed to pull it all together. And we've, somehow managed to pull together 100 people tonight on this, which is really impressive. So thank you, Becky. Now I'm going to move on to the Spirit Award. Jennifer Brown Banks defines the Spirit Award. I say that literally because when you look on our website and see the definition for the award, she wrote it. It's an acrostic of the 6 letters in spirit. It says service, passion, inspiration, reach, ingenuity, and tireless advocacy. These are all the things that define Jennifer Brown Banks. Jennifer has left an impressive mark as a freelance writer, columnist, poet, and blogger. But she is so much more than the words she writes. Just look at all that she has done beyond her extensive publishing accomplishments. She was a founding organizer of CWA and a longtime member of our board of directors. She is the founder and president of Poets United to Advance the Arts, a community-based arts organization on the South Side. And her reach extends beyond Chicago as she provides support for writers all over the world through her award-winning Pen and Prosper blog. For her many years of dedicated service to CWA and Chicago's writing community, I am thrilled to recognize my dear friend, Jennifer Brown Banks, as the recipient of this year's Spirit Awards. Jennifer?
Jennifer, you might have to unmute yourself, ma'am. And Randy, you go back on mute now. Enough of you. Jennifer, are you with us this evening? I think you are. You may be on mute or having some technical difficulties. Oh, she is here. She's a message and said she is here, and yes, she is having technical difficulties. We'll give it a second. If not, I can start plugging for, this coming year's contest. We'll give Jennifer a minute to sort that out. So it's not too early if you're a writer to start thinking about 2021. The Book of the Year contest is open to Chicago Writers Association members and non-members. Submissions for the next contest will open on June 1st and close on August 1st. Entries must have been published between July 1st, 2020 and June 30th, 2021. That is the date of first publication. We accept only hard copies, paperback or hardbound books, which must be mailed with an entry form and postmarked by August 1st to qualify. Digital books are not accepted. Winners are chosen in 4 categories, and you heard from those winners this evening: traditional fiction, indie fiction, traditional nonfiction, and indie nonfiction. They will be honored at a ceremony in January 2022, and God is our witness, we are demanding that it be at the bookseller. And they will receive a cash prize, an engraved award, a bookseller gift certificate, and publication of their first chapter in CWA's Right City magazine. If you are a member, watch your inbox later this year for additional information. And if you're not a member, well, why not? In any case, check back with our website this spring. That is www.chicagovrights.org/book-awards for more details. Jennifer, we have you on and ready to chat. It appears she is still having technical difficulties. So I will then pivot over to our esteemed board member and chairperson of the Let's Just Write Writers Conference. Sam, would you like to say a few words about where the conference is and about CWA in general?
Thanks.
And it's Bailey. Yay! Good success, no matter what.
And I saw Beth had her cat on her shoulder too a minute ago. And also Katey, you had your pet. I'm sure, I don't see everyone, but I'm sure there are lots of pets involved. It's so great to see all these familiar faces and all our CWA friends, people who have attended the conference in the past and who are still registered to attend it in the future. Unfortunately, we've had to reschedule it to March of 2022. But, you know, we just feel that's going to be our best chance for success in holding an in-person event. And we're not, you know, we don't want to do it virtual because it's just not the same experience that we have provided the past few years. So registration is open if you're so inclined. We hope that it'll be at the Warwick Allerton Hotel, which is such a lovely, lovely venue. But, you know, we don't really know for sure. We can't confirm that at the moment. But wherever it is, it will be in person on March 19th and 20th, 2022. And I hope to see you all there.
Samantha, can you say anything about our membership levels as well?
About what?
Our membership levels, lifetime membership, et cetera.
Oh, I would have to, you mean the sponsorship?
No, joining CWA and benefits, membership levels.
No, CWA
It has scrambled your brain.
CWA membership is only $25 a year. So if you're not a member, why the hell not? And you can get a lifetime membership for $250. So if you live longer than 10 years, it's a deal.
And that's you know, always you know, these days an increasing a value add. If Jennifer is unavailable to join us, and it appears sadly that she is not, that's a real shame. But again, Jennifer served us for many years, continues to serve the writing community, and we're very happy we were able to give her some version of a Lifetime Achievement Award, although no one's work here appears to be done. I'd like to say a few thank yous to both Samantha and also Christina Rodriguez, who did a lot of work to help me make sure that everyone had the Zoom link to come to this event, that we publicized and continued inviting folks. It's a reason we were able to draw 100 faces in a time of extreme Zoom fatigue. And Christina, thank you for the development in a strange year of both the winner seal and a digital honorable mention certificate, right? It was very hard to hand things over to people physically this year. So thank you for helping us get there. And as always, Randy Richardson, thank you for even the brainchild. Not that, you know, you were the first one to think of it, but you were the first one to bring it offline, and here we are back online. So, you know, where we start, so we return at some point. Congratulations and thank yous to all the winners. And I thank you all for attending tonight, and please enjoy the rest of your weekend. Happy New Year, and keep reading and writing. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky.